Hello, I'm Dave Emmons, your storyteller for today. Today's story will be a story about a great strength that lives on the top of a mountain and two sisters who want to know whether there is a strength or not. So why don't we begin? Thousands of years ago, in the land of Switzerland, there lived two sisters. One was called Magda, and the other one, well, she was Hilda. Now Magda, she enjoyed to see out at the snow-capped mountains and to look down into the valleys and to see the streams and the rivers and to walk there and to eat the wild berries as she went along. And she loved that place so much. Both of them, they lived in a cabin. It was on the side of a mountain that could overlook all of this. And now Hilda, her sister, she enjoyed these things too, but she was much more hefty. Hilda many times was out chopping wood. And on the roof, she was up there fixing it to prevent the rain from leaking in. And she liked cooking and gardening. She liked potatoes and onions and things like that. But she was very hefty, very strong. And to tell you about her, very often she was angry at the animals that would come in. Sometimes bears would come right in. Oh, they'd just come in and knock things over and take the food and go. And one time, there was this one time that Magda and Hilda, they had prepared a nice supper for themselves. They had worked all day, and they were tired, and they sat down and they were relaxing and enjoying themselves, and all of a sudden outside they heard this growling, and they heard this noise, and there was this giant bear, this gigantic creature was out there, and it was pushing on the door, and finally it pushed the door right down. And the sisters, they jumped back as this creature came in, growling and snarling and going right after the food. But Hilda had had it. That was enough of this, she said to herself. These animals, these bears, they come in. And so she just get up and she grabbed that bear. And she just twisted up in a knot, a big fuzzy ball. And she just held it up in the air and, well, they threw it out the window. And that was the end of that bear. And no more. It didn't come back again, and the animals must have heard about it because, well, they just didn't bother her in that way. Oh, she was so upset and so tired, and so finally she relaxed. And she and Magda, they sat in their living room and they talked about different things. And as they began to reminisce, Magda, she thought about a story, and she wanted to know what Hilda thought about it. She said, Hilda, you remember that legend, that story about the strength, that great strength that lived up in the mountain, up on Mount Star? And Hilda said, yeah, I remember that, yeah. She said, do you think there really was a strength up there? Well, maybe there's a strength. Do you think if I went up there, I would find it? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps you would find it. Perhaps there is a strength. Usually behind stories, there's always something. Somebody's experience. Then tomorrow, Hilda, I think I will go up. Tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow, she said. It'll only take a week. And I'll be back in time, plenty of time to help you with the wood and get ready for the winter. Well, okay, I suppose it'd be interesting to find out if there's a strength or not, said Hilda. That's good, then I'll go tomorrow. Well, the next day came and Magda set out. She set out across the valley, walking down into the area where the great river flowed and the streams came out from it. And she was walking for over a day to get down into that area, and she could see Erlingstar Mountain up far there in the hills, rising up above the hills with its peak. And she set forth in that direction. And after many days, she came to the foot of that mountain and began to climb up past the midpoint, and then she came to this area that was beginning to be difficult climbing, a ledge, and she camped there. She camped there realizing that the night was soon to fall, and if she got rest, then the rest of the journey would be best for her. And so she slept there. And then the next morning, she woke up and got her gear ready, and she began to climb. She began to climb up this difficult path and grab hold of roots and ledges. And finally, she got up there, and she could rest. And she could see the top of the mountain. It was about an acre that stretched out with boulders and rocks. And she looked around, thinking, was the strength there? Could she find this strength? And she looked in back of rocks and behind boulders, and yet there was no strength. She couldn't find it. She wondered if there was such a thing. And then, just before she was ready to give up, she could see it. Right over there, there was a strength. And she got moving closer to it. And as she moved closer to it, it moved closer to her. And she began to reach out. And she wanted to touch it, and she touched the strength. And it touched her. And when it touched her, it changed her. She felt different. And then it disappeared. Well, she was in a hurry now to go back quickly, to tell Hilda there really was a strength, and to get Hilda to come back with her. So down the mountain she went, and down into the valley. And then from the distance she could see Hilda out in the yard in the back. She was working, and then Hilda saw her. And Hilda saw her coming, and she began to run toward her, and Magda ran toward Hilda, and Hilda said, I see you found something. I can see it on your face. And Magda says, yes, Hilda, I found the strength, and it changed me, and I want you to come back with me. Come back with me, Hilda, come. But Hilda did not want to go back. Hilda said, no, I cannot go back with you, Magda. But I have to go back. And so Magda did go back, and Hilda, she waved to her and she said, I'm sorry. And so Magda went back, and Hilda stayed back at the cabin, but Magda went on to be with the strength.